We're in a temperate rainforest in Sassafras. These areas are very special because they're very, very rare. And if we look up in the trees, we have a particular tree which is called southern sassafras. And where we find this tree, we find the rainforest zones. And these trees are very old and have fossil records that go all the way back millions of years. And fossils have been found in Antarctica, which is quite amazing to think that at some point these trees were growing all over the planet.
The Dandenong Ranges is a low mountain range set about 35 kilometres outside of Melbourne. Originally white settlers did a lot of logging up here. More than 300 million years ago a volcano erupted up here.
This particular area receives about 1,400 millimetres of rainfall each year, and all of that water flows from the sides of the hill down to Sassafras Creek. And as we get lower towards the creek, we start to see this vegetation establish, and it's very structured. From the top we have the tallest trees, which are the mountain ash. They can grow up to 100 metres tall. And then we have the mid-story trees, which are like the blackwoods, sassafras trees. Then we have a lower ground layer which encompasses all of these tree ferns and ground ferns.
The Wurundjeri people originally came up to the mountains for gathering and hunting. There was sort of a summer place to come and gather medicinal medicinal plants, and also to catch, I guess, wallabies, kangaroos. The Wurundjeri people were pretty much the original Indigenous people that occupied the Yarra Ranges, but due to white settlement the population decreased by about 80%.
Amazing. And we can find a small percentage of the landmass is made up of this kind of forest. It's very special. This tree that I'm standing next to is the tallest flowering tree in the world. It's called the mountain ash and grows in the Dandenong Ranges above 500 metres sea level. This is the root structure of the tree. And it's quite amazing because these trees will grow roots that tap down into the bedrock.
Huge mountain ash trees, and they were cut down and logged for many years to build pretty much houses and businesses in Melbourne. We've got a road up here called Gully Road, and all of the trees on that street were all logged, and the trees were used to build masts of all the ships that came into the different ports and bays in Melbourne. But that all stopped in about the 1950s, 60s, and all our forests started to become protected and turn into national parks.
Some of these tree ferns that you can see here, they're very old. They could be 400 or 500 years old, and you'll see on the trunks of these large tree ferns there's a host of different ferns, mosses, lichens. In fact, there's actually maybe up to 30 or 40 species on each of these tree fern trunks. We have a species which is like a film fern. And you can see again all of these epiphytic plants growing all the way up the trunk, all the way to the top of the tree.
I was born and bred in the Dandenong Ranges, pretty much because our family loves the forests. It's not far from Melbourne. It was a beautiful place to grow up as a kid. We spent a lot of time in the forest walking, collecting firewood and things like that.
This tree is known as Alleria Argofiller. The amazing thing about these trees is this could be maybe 5,000 years old.
I've noticed it hasn't changed a whole lot, but what I have noticed is due to Parks Vic and the government isn't as much funding to look after the national parks, so you find that they're overtaken by the sycamore maples, a lot of introduced species of trees that aren't naturally inhabited there. I found that the tourist industry has boomed. A lot of people visiting the hills, maybe not as interested in going through the forest, but good for your cafes and sort of local businesses.
Rainforests can be destroyed by fire, and we want to try and keep those fires out of these locations if we can.
It has become a bit of a dumping ground for people to just get rid of couches and hard rubbish.
The other main area where these forests can be damaged is through human activity. We already have a lot of feral animals, feral introduced plant species which are causing damage, but we have good people managing these forests, and I love them personally, and I hope that everyone can enjoy these forests in the years into the future.